What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mets Central, and today we are going to be talking about the Mets' newest signing as they go out and sign Sean Manaea to a 2-year deal, $28 million with an opt-out. I'm not sure if it's a player or a club option, but we're going to talk about it and break it down, and I do apologize. I'm so sorry, sincerely sorry that I did not upload this at 5 in the morning when the news broke from John Heyman. I apologize. I got to do better on that part, but yeah, in all seriousness, I don't know. I mean, before we jump into everything, leave a like if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know I upload or go live on the channel. But it's another signing where I'm kind of just on the fence about it, and I'm kind of just like indifferent about how I feel about it. I've already accepted that this year that the Mets are going to either be a just terrible, unwatchable baseball team, or they're going to somehow sneak into a wild card spot. Like, there's really no way around it. Like, I don't see them winning the division. If they do, like, I'll be jumping up and down, but I just don't see it. I don't think there's any shot there as good as the Phillies, as good as the Braves. They are probably going to be in the mix with the Marlins for third place. And again, they maybe sneak into a wild card spot, but that's what I've accepted. That's what I've accepted. And next year, we'll see what happens if this is truly just kind of like a take a step back year. Maybe try to stay competitive, stay afloat, and then next offseason they make the moves. But I got to see it before I believe it. But regardless, Sean Manaea, this is probably it for the rotation. Like, this is probably the last move for the rotation. I could be wrong. Maybe they sign some more depth pieces, but I'd imagine that's nothing more than depth at this point with the rotation. I think that what we got here is what we're going to see. I think they're going to be, and even then, I don't know how much more depth they're going to go out and get. I think now you got Senga as the number one. After that, I don't know what order they're going to go in, but you got Quintana, you got Severino, you got Manaea, and you got Adrian Hauser now as well. And then you have Tyler McGill, who's still around. Peterson will be back in the middle of the season as he had that injury. And Jose Budo's still floating around. Maybe they give Mike Vassell a couple of starts. Maybe they give Christian Scott a couple of starts. Some of these other prospects, I don't know if Tidwell is going to get starts, but they might just give some of these prospects some of the reins. And that's what I feel like they're doing just in general with some of these moves where, you know, Harrison Bader, they signed him to a 1-year deal. We broke that down recently. Go check it out if you want to. The thing that bothers me about this, where they're just signing meh players versus, you know, getting at least sure locks. Like, I'm not asking for the world here personally. I would have been happy if the Mets went out, like, the rest of the offseason. I will be happy if they go out and get, like, a Teoscar Hernandez or Jorge Soler to be the DH. They go out and get another decent starter, like maybe trade for Dylan Cease if possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, you go out and get a bona fide number 2 starter, and you go out and get, like, for the bullpen, you bring back Robertson, maybe get Jordan Hicks or just someone. Like, I'm not asking for the world here. I'm not asking them to go out and get Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery, because I think that's just poor management, and who knows what type of deal those guys want. But I can't imagine a guy like Robertson or Hicks like wants a long-term commitment. So I don't see a reason why they can't go out and like give these guys 1 or 2 year deals. I think that would make sense. And then Jorge Soler, I don't know what type of deal he's looking for, but I don't see a reason the Mets still can't give him like a 1-2 year deal with an opt-out, or, you know, just get whatever. Because then I feel like this team's more of a lock for a wild card spot, because I'm just worried they're going to put themselves in such a hole with some of these players where they might be truly bad enough to the point where the Mets get desperate to call up some of these prospects. And I don't want them to rush any guys. Like, I don't want it to be where they have to rush Drew Gilbert up, or where they have to rush up Christian Scott or any of these other prospects that I mentioned before. I don't want them to be in that type of scenario. Like, if they're ready, they're ready. But I don't want them to be in a spot where they're going to have to rush these guys. So we'll see what else happens. I mean, there's still time this offseason for moves to be made. But regardless, we're here to talk about Sean Manaea. I'm sorry I'm like 4 minutes in. I just rambled. I felt like it was important to talk about in the opening. But with Sean Manaea, he kind of flip-flopped last year between being a starter and a relief pitcher. He was not great as a starter to begin the season. He was a relief pitcher for a while, gave 3 to 4 innings most of the time for the San Francisco Giants, and he was pretty effective in terms of the work that he gave. And you look at the baseline numbers, it's not the worst. Like, it's nothing to write home about. It's pretty much just like a back end of the rotation guy, which is kind of what we were expecting the Mets to do. In 117 innings pitched, a little over that, and 2/3 if you want to be technical. He had a Ks per nine at 9.79, so kind of like middle of the pack, just like above average in terms of his strikeout numbers. Walks a lot of guys, 3.21 walks per nine. Kind of an issue there. Doesn't give up the long ball too much, or at least last year he didn't with a 1.07. The year before, though, he had a 1.65. But to play devil's advocate, his walks per nine were down by a pretty good margin with the Padres the year before. Ground ball percentage at 40.9 last year, and his ERA was 4.44, expected ERA at 4.18, and a FIP at 3.90 with a positive WAR. Not that I'm a big WAR guy, but his WAR was 1.1 last year, so I don't know. And then you look at the Savant page, again, there's really nothing to write home about or get too excited. Like, again, above average with the strikeout stuff. Everything else is pretty much below average. Doesn't give up too much hard contact. And that's really all there is. Like, he has good off-speed stuff. I don't know. Like, he has decent stuff, and I don't know how the Mets plan to utilize him. That's the other thing that's confusing me, because of the fact that he was good in the bullpen, but you're giving him money like he's going to start next year. So I'd envision him starting, but if he's so poor, then obviously you move him to the bullpen, no big deal. But I just am confused. Is the plan to use him as a starter? Is the plan to use him as a relief pitcher? And I'm just puzzled too why they are now banking on a couple of guys where, you're not locking some of these starters in for a sure amount of innings. Like Senga, he's probably good to give you the most innings out of any of these starters that are in the rotation at this point. And outside of that, like, it's kind of just question marks. Quintana always has health questions. Then you have now Sean Manaea, who has flip-flop time between being a starter and a relief pitcher, and he was good down the stretch as a starter. I think he had like 7 starts in his last 7 games. Looked good there. Is that going to translate and carry over? Who knows? But still, you have Sean Manaea there, question mark with that. Luis Severino, I mean, we talked about that. I don't know what he's going to do in terms of innings there. Like, I don't know what he's going to give. And I think he's going to be better than he was last year. It's hard to be worse than he was last year. But again, what are the innings going to be? Like, what's the inning total going to be there from Severino? Adrian Hauser, another guy who flipped time between being a starter and relief pitcher at times. Had a lot more starts, though, than, relief appearances. But again, you can't really pencil a lot of these guys in for a lot of innings. And for a bullpen that got taxed pretty heavy last year, it's interesting to see that they're going this approach where, it kind of is like a David Stearns team where they are going to be heavy reliant on the bullpen. And you look at the bullpen, I just have question marks if they're going to be able to handle it. Michael Tonkin, he could give you a good amount of innings out of that bullpen. But outside of that, like, Brooks Raley gave 54 innings last year, a little over that. Drew Smith gave 56 innings. He can maybe give you 2 innings at times in a relief appearance. Then you look at Jorge Lopez. He gave 59. And then everything else is just question marks. Is Sean Reed fully expected to be a guy that could eat multiple innings? Is he even going to be in the bullpen every day? Like, I don't know if they're going to go out and get more. Austin Adams, another guy who just hasn't pitched a lot of innings. Phil Bickford, 67. Are they expecting him to get more appearances? I just don't know what the plan is in terms of how they utilize this pitching staff. It's going to be interesting to see Carlos Mendoza, how he's going to operate this staff and how things are going to look, because of the fact that I just feel like they don't have enough locks for innings. Like, that's my biggest gripe with this offseason, is for a team that felt starving for innings last year and really struggled to get that type of stuff. I just question why they're going into a year yet again where you can't pencil guys in for, a good amount of innings. Sure, don't get me wrong. I get that they want to go with these guys that have some more upside potentially and could give you better stuff and everything, but I would honestly be more okay with them taking a safe pick for a guy that, is a back end of the rotation guy. You know what you're getting, and you could pencil him in for at least like 150 innings plus. Where with this, I just genuinely don't know. Like, I don't know what they're going to get from this rotation, and it's going to be a mixed bag. This team in general is a mixed bag. You look at the lineup, You pretty much know what you're getting from Nimmo. Jeff McNeil, what is he going to be? I honestly don't know. Is he going to have a bad year again, or is he going to bounce back? That's a question mark. Lindor is a safe lock. Alonso, you're probably a lock to get 40 home runs as long as he stays healthy, that is. But what's he going to be in terms of, everything else around him, like his other baseline numbers? And on top of that, is he going to be around come the deadline? Who knows? Marte, what are you going to get from him coming back from an injury? Then you look at some of the other guys that they got, like Harrison Bader. I don't know what Harrison Bader is going to be. And also, I see he's listed at number 5 on the friggin' MLB website. Please, no, do not let him wear number 5. That would be a disgrace. But regardless, Francisco Alvarez, is he going to have a better sophomore season, or is he going to kind of slump a bit, have that sophomore slump, which hopefully not, because of the fact that he slumped pretty heavy during last season. Brett Beatty, you don't know what you're getting from him. Mark Vientos, you don't know what you're getting from him. Omar Narvaez stinks as a backup catcher, and they're exploring trading him even. Joey Wendell, not really a good guy off the bench to have. Tyrone Taylor, I think he's a safe lock to give you just like decent value. Like you probably get like a 240 average at most from him. You probably get like a 750, maybe 800 OPS if you're lucky. In terms of the ceiling there. Like, those are really only the safe locks with the lineup. And then, like I mentioned, the pitching staff is just such a mixed bag. Like, Edwin Diaz, he's probably not going to replicate what he did last time we saw him on the mound, but he still should have a good season. Brooks Raley should have a pretty solid season. But outside of that, the bullpen, again, mixed bag. And I don't know what's going to happen here. I really question what is going to happen this season, and I'm curious to see what the game plan is in terms of what the staff wants to do, what management wants to do. I don't know. It's good that you get a guy that could be either a starter or relief pitcher, but I just would feel more comfortable if they got a guy that was a sure starter. And sure, Manaea did give. It's not like injuries were a thing that held him back, which now that he's a Met, he's probably bound to get injured. But because you look at the previous seasons, 158 innings in 2022, 179 in 2021. So, like, you could get reliable innings, but with the way he was utilized last year, is he going to be able to handle more innings? Is he going to be able to handle being a starter for longer? That's just the question mark where, if you went out and got another definitive starter who went out and, like, threw the ball 30 times plus as a starter last year, I wouldn't have these questions where, Sean Manaea, you have 10 starts from him last year. Is he going to be able to handle it? I'm not sure. And even in some of those starts, like, it's not like he went a lot of innings in those starts. Like, I don't know. We'll find out, though. We'll find out as we're pretty much only a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting. Spring training is going to start before we know it. And before we know it, we're going to be in the middle of things with baseball season in general. And it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this signing in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys, what you guys are thinking, how you guys feel. Don't forget to leave a like if you have not already. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Met fans. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live next on the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go, Mets.